If I look a little crazy right now, it's because it's Saturday night and I just got back from the laundromat because my dryer broke. So don't you judge me. I'm allowed to look a little crazy. So I was just listening to a broadcast. It was an interview with some talking head spin doctor that's apparently on the Pence team, trying to do what appears to be some public damage control. And they were talking about invoking the 25th Amendment and whether Pence would do that. And the lovely young lady who's clearly paid to say this, uh, cough, 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 was saying that, oh no, Pence would never invoke the 25th Amendment because Pence is a loyalist. He would never do that to Trump. Listen, between you and me, when you send your minions out to destroy the place of business I work at, and they're out there literally just trying to decide, publicly trying to decide how they're going to kill me, whether they're going to hang me from the noose outside the building or just shoot me. At that point, any loyalty to you is gone. Gone. The loyalty card has been played out. There is no loyalty then. I mean, the reality is that Pence has a spine like a jellyfish. Quite the character. Quite the character. I suspect he might be Libra rising. But we don't know because we don't actually have a birth time for him. But he might be Leo rising. Or Leo. Anyway, I don't have time and not a whole lot of interest in rectifying his chart. But it did pose a question. Would Pence throw Trump under the bus? Would Pence do an about face and do the completely unexpected, grow a spine, and invoke the 25th Amendment? That was worth looking into. So I pulled up Pence's chart. And what you're looking at right now are my hand scribbled notes. Now, we do not have a time of birth for Pence, so we're using 0 Aries rising. So when you look at this, we're going to ignore the houses, right? Now, hopefully you can read my writing. So we know he's a Gemini, right? He's got this stellium in Gemini, Sun, Mercury, and the Moon. Here's that Venus and Mars that I was talking about. He's got Venus and Mars conjunct in Leo, and it's squaring Neptune and Scorpio. Listen, this guy loves himself and his image of himself more than Donald Trump loves his fantasies about who he is. Oh my God, this vainglorious, living in his own special little world is literally a match made in hell or heaven for Trump. They're two sides of the same coin. Good God. Anyway, so there's that. And also, he's got, now here's what's interesting, right? Look at this. He has Uranus at 13 Leo. Now that 13 Leo is taking this Uranus station, right, in a T-square. Because Taurus, remember Aries is over here on the solar house, Taurus is going to be here. So that Uranus station we're under right now sets up a T-square to his natal Uranus. That's important. Also, the other thing that was worth noting here is that he's got Pluto at 1 Virgo. And he's got Saturn in Capricorn. So with Saturn in Capricorn, what this tells us is that he has already had his Saturn return. So Buddy Boy here has already had his come to Jesus moment and his get right with life and Christ moment back when Saturn was in early Capricorn, which would have been over a year ago, right? Now, he's on what will be a Uranus-Uranus square, because Uranus is going to be over here, squaring his natal Uranus here, right? Which, of course, sets up that beautiful T-square. Now, I know that just sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook, right? And even as an astrologer, sometimes I have to tell people to stop with a data dump and just let me see the chart. Stop talking, please. So what this means with Uranus station, setting up that T-square to his natal Uranus, is that we can expect some exciting, explosive, and completely unexpected events in his life. And I'm pretty sure a rioting mob coming to execute you is on the top 10 list of things no one ever expected. Even during the French Revolution, they weren't expecting that. So there's that. The other is that, remember, Uranus is the planet of honesty. It's also the planet of breaks, things being torn asunder. So there are things in Pence's life that are going to be ripped away from him. And it's not the typical Pluto ripping away, because Pluto likes to do it slow and deep, like a root canal without anesthesia. No, no, no. Uranus is a lot like somebody kind of reaching in, throwing a hand grenade in the closet, and then shutting the door with you in the closet. Um, yeah, Uranus. Yay. So this Uranus, Neptune T square in his chart is going to explode open and rip away a lot of dearly held fantasies and illusions that he may have had about his life, his future, himself. So he's really having a crisis moment right now. And remember that Venus Mars conjunction in his chart squares Neptune in Scorpio. So he has some really fixed fantasies about who he is. And he holds those fantasies about who he is pretty damn dearly. And with Uranus setting up a T-square involving those two planets in that square, making a T-square, he's really having a come to Jesus moment right now. So there is the very distinct possibility, with that said, that he may get really, really honest and have an actual come to Jesus moment and throw Trump under the bus and then back up the bus up over and forward a couple of times. So it's not impossible that with that Uranus, heavy Uranus activity, it's Uranus station in the T-square in his chart, that he could surprise us all and he could surprise himself. So he may pull this out of the hat at literally the 11th hour. The 25th Amendment, that is. Because the fact of the matter is he's not afraid of Trump and he's not loyal to Trump. What he's afraid of is those crazy people out there literally who are trying to hang, murder, and execute pretty much anybody they think, is not in lockstep agreement with them. And if you and I were in their position, we'd be scared crapless too. So Pence and all the others are paralyzed right now because what they don't want to do is have these people showing up their homes. And remember, we can find them. We know what their names are. We know what they look like. We know where they work. And there's more of us than there are of them. So whichever side they piss off, we outnumber them. And there's nowhere they're going to go where we aren't. Unfortunately, the side that they've been coddling and holding dear to their heart are the ones that are most likely to hurt them. So you kind of get what you get there, buddy boy. It is what it is. Now, here's what was also interesting. Remember that Pluto in Virgo that we saw in Pence's chart? Well, that Pluto in Virgo is at 1 Virgo. It is conjunct to Trump's ascendant. So even if Trump is Leo, late Leo rising, 29 Leo rising, Pluto is still conjunct that ascendant. And I know we like to think of these Pluto contacts in synastry or relationship charts as very sexy. Ooh, it's so sexy. Because Pluto is Scorpio, right? And everybody always says, ooh, Scorpio sex. Ooh. Yeah, and I'm here to tell you, no. No. Remember, Pluto transits in your chart, when Pluto crosses planets and angles in your chart, that's not sexy. That's not sexy. There's nothing sexy about rape. We're not talking about, the 50 Shades of Grey rape. We're talking about like full-on acts of war kind of assault, right? In your deepest, most vulnerable places. That's Pluto in transit. And that's Pluto when it's crossing your personal planets in a relationship. The difference is in a relationship, it gets a lot more complicated. And a lot of it has to do with not only the evolution of the Pluto person, but also the evolution of you and what you bring out in that person, yada, 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 yada. Oh my God, we could go on. So this is to say that when you see Pluto contacts, these are not the types of contacts you should go running towards unless you're the same kind of person who feels that throwing yourself on a grenade to save your buddies is your lifelong ambition, at which point we won't stop you. Hail to the chief. You go do you, chief. Some people like that kind of excitement. Some of us live and aspire for boredom. So with that said, Pence's Pluto on Trump's ascendant, while Pence is going through this Uranus, Mars Neptune, or Mars Venus and Neptune T-square, this huge freaking T-square in his charts. Pence is quite likely to pull a life-changing move out of his pocket at the very last minute, and it won't necessarily be to Trump's benefit or vanity as much as it will be an act of defiance or rebellion, Uranus, and also an act of vindication through truth, Uranus. And also, a bit of karmic justice and payback from who knows what lifetime misdeeds from so many lifetimes ago, Pluto. So my bets, I could be wrong, but my bets are on Pence pulling the plug at the last minute and pulling the 25th Amendment card. I want them to impeach, impeach, indict, arrest, and bury that man under the jail. But that's me. So we'll see. Again, remember the inauguration of the 20th, but this is all going to blow up before then. So let's watch and see. Hey, before I go, in the comments section below, I want to hear what you think. Do you think Pence will pull this one out of his hat, pull this, hat trick out of his pocket and do the 25th Amendment before the inauguration comes? Or do you think Pence will let Congress do the dirty work and pretend to be Switzerland and do nothing and hope that nothing blows up between now and then? What do you think Pence will do? Put it in the comments. See you soon.